It wasn't a random act. It was precision, a plan crafted like architecture, every move measured, every detail mapped. In the quiet town of Brookhaven, a name that once symbolized ambition and elegance became a headline soaked in horror. She was bright, beloved, and building a future brick by brick, until someone used those same blueprints to end her life. This is the blueprint murder of Kelly Coppola, a story that blends intellect and obsession, success and jealousy, and the kind of premeditation that leaves even seasoned detectives shaking their heads. Tonight, we unravel the chilling case of a woman who designed her own destiny only to fall victim to someone who drew their own blueprint for murder. Kelly Coppola wasn't a name you'd find in tabloids. She wasn't chasing fame. She was chasing purpose. At 33 years old, Kelly was a rising star in the world of architectural design. With degrees from Cornell and MIT, and a portfolio that stretched from eco-homes in Vermont to urban revival projects in New York, she was considered one of the brightest minds of her generation. Colleagues described her as a visionary with an engineer's mind and an artist's soul. Friends said she was all precision, no ego. She had just launched her own firm Coppola & Co. Design in downtown Brookhaven, a small but ambitious operation specializing in smart cities and sustainable design. Her latest project, a futuristic urban development dubbed the Blueprint Initiative, a community that could adapt to climate change. Self-sustaining, efficient, beautiful. She often said, "A good blueprint doesn't just build buildings, it builds lives." But behind that success was a storm she never saw coming. Because where Kelly saw vision, someone else saw competition. Where she built bridges, someone else built motives. And while Kelly designed her dream project, someone else was designing her democete. Was a Thursday, June 12, 2026. A day that began like every other. Security footage shows Kelly entering her office at 7:42 a.m., coffee in hand, hair tied back, portfolio clutched against her side. She smiles at the receptionist, waves at her assistant, and heads straight into her glass-walled studio. That's the last confirmed sighting of Kelly Coppola alive. By 8:30 p.m., her phone went dark. By 10 o'clock, her fiancé, Ryan Hale, began to worry. He texted, "Long day again? Everything okay?" No reply. By midnight, he called her assistant. No answer. By 2 o'clock a.m., he called police. When detectives entered the studio hours later, they found something strange. Not a scene of chaos, but eerily immaculate order. No broken glass. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. Her laptop was missing. Her car, still parked outside. And on her desk, an unfinished blueprint, a new project design labeled only as Phase X. On that sheet, drawn in precise ink, was a floor plan, a home layout Kelly had never presented, never mentioned. And in the corner of the page, circled twice in red, were the initials AM. Detectives photographed everything. But something about that blueprint felt personal, almost like a message. Detective Elena Marks led the investigation, a 15-year veteran known for her analytical approach. She didn't just look at evidence, she read intention. Marks' first instinct? This wasn't random. Kelly's disappearance was calculated, deliberate, clean. So she did what Kelly would have done. She studied the design. Every line, every symbol, every annotation. And that's when she noticed the floor plan on the desk wasn't standard. It wasn't for an office or a residential home. It resembled a storage unit, with a single entrance, soundproofed walls, and no windows. A blueprint for containment. A trap. Was Kelly building this? Or had someone built it for her? Detectives began interviewing her inner circle. First Ryan Hale, the fiancé. An engineer, calm, cooperative. He'd proposed to Kelly just 6 months earlier. He said she'd been stressed lately, competition, contract disputes, plagiarism fears. Then came James Adler, her former business partner, a man she'd fired 3 months prior. The two had launched Coppola & Co. together, but Kelly accused him of falsifying budgets and selling concepts behind her back. Adler denied everything, but when police searched his apartment, they found architectural drafts identical to Kelly's earlier work stamped with his name. Was this about revenge? Or something deeper? Professional jealousy turned homicidal. Still, No body, no weapon, no trace. Until day 6, when a jogger in East Ridge Park discovered a rolled-up sheet of blue drafting paper half buried in the mud. It was another blueprint, labeled again, Phase X. But this one had something. The first did in a small ink smudge, shaped like a thumbprint, and beneath it, faintly etched into the margin, and Phase. Detectives sent the smudged blueprint to forensics, and the results came back within 48 hours. The print matched, not to Kelly, not to Ryan, but to James Adler. Armed with a warrant, police raided his warehouse outside Brookhaven, a property registered under a shell company linked to his name. What they found inside shocked even the most seasoned officers. A room, perfectly soundproofed, no windows, concrete walls, and inside a drafting table, a lamp, and a single chair. The room's layout matched the blueprint exactly, except this one wasn't on paper. It was built, and in the corner, they found blood droplets, a torn piece of Kelly's scarf, and her watch, stopped at 9:13 p.m. It was no longer a missing persons case. It was a murder investigation. But Adler's response was chilling. He didn't run, he didn't deny, he smiled, and said, "Blueprints don't lie. They just follow design." When detectives asked what he meant, Adler folded his hands and whispered, "She drew the first line." Was he implying Kelly started this? A rivalry gone wrong? Or a delusion that blurred creation with destruction? Investigators dug deeper and uncovered emails sent from Adler's account to Kelly weeks before her death. Subject line, "You stole my design." Another, "You don't get to erase me." And the most haunting, "Every masterpiece needs symmetry. You took my career, I'll take your life." The trial began in November 2026. The courtroom packed, media relentless. The story of the blueprint murder gripped the nation. Prosecutors called it murder by design, a crime of method, ego, and control. They presented the blueprints, the emails, the warehouse, and the DNA evidence. Blood droplets matching Kelly, fibers matching Adler's clothing. But the most damning? A draft saved on his hard drive, titled Phase X Completion. Inside, a 3D render of the containment room with Kelly's initials embedded in the model's metadata. His defense? Insanity? He claimed he and Kelly were co-designing an art installation, a living structure, and that her death was an accident. But the precision, the timing, the concealment, all pointed to premeditation. Prosecutors argued Adler believed he was creating the ultimate design, one that would outlive him, a blueprint in blood. When the verdict came, the courtroom held its breath, guilty of first-degree murder, life without parole. Kelly Coppola's legacy didn't die with her. Her firm, now led by her former protege, completed the Blueprint Initiative in her honor. Every building features a small engraving. For Kelly, she built futures. The room Adler built was dismantled brick by brick, its materials repurposed into a memorial structure at the Brookhaven Arts District. Detective Marks later said, "I've seen messy crimes. Crimes of passion. Crimes of impulse. But this was architecture. A murder built like a project. One line at a time." Kelly's story serves as a haunting reminder that brilliance attracts brilliance. But sometimes, it also attracts envy. And in the wrong hands, blueprints become burial sites. Kelly Coppola designed dreams. Her killer designed death. But only one creation will stand the test of time. The blueprint murder, a tragedy written in ink, built in vengeance, and remembered in justice. If you found this story powerful, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because on this channel, we don't just tell stories, we unearth truths. This was the blueprint murder of Kelly Coppola. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and never underestimate the designs people hide behind.